This is a session on all things COMAP, modeling resources galore. Here's our agenda and our presenters for today. I'm Kathi Snook. I'm from COMAP. I'm the Director of Operations and Contests. I'm joined by Amanda Beecher from Ramapo College of New Jersey. She's going to address
Hello.
MCM and ICM contests. And we're also joined by Michelle Isenhour, our SIM project manager. And she'll talk about SIM, which she'll tell you what that is in a little while. So we're going to start off by doing a bit of overview of COMAP and what COMAP is. I want to remind you that this session is being recorded. So COMAP is the Consortium for Mathematics and its Applications. It's an award-winning nonprofit organization that's been around for more than 40 years. For all of the 40 years, it's worked with teachers and students and industry to create learning materials, curricular materials, professional development programs, really focused on applied problem solving and more recently, well, in half that time, math modeling as we now know it today. The materials that COMAPs produce is very diverse: print, video, and multimedia. It's multidisciplinary, it's rigorous, it's fun. There's a couple of examples of some of the material that COMAP has produced in the past. Additionally, COMAP has a mathmodels.org membership and website that's full of all kinds of materials. As far as materials and publications go, Michelle is going to talk about the new SIM program, a professional development program, a little bit later in this presentation. Additionally, after COMAP was founded, it really wanted to motivate incorporating math modeling into the classroom, and so it developed international math modeling contests. The first contest was started in 1985, the Mathematical Contest in Modeling, and then that was joined to have a more interdisciplinary arm in 1999. And today, Amanda's going to talk about those two contests, the MCM and the ICM. As time went on, then COMAP added some high school and school level contests, the High School Mathematical Contest in Modeling, and then the International Mathematical Modeling Challenge. And finally, this year, we added the Middle Mathematical Contest in Modeling, a modeling contest for middle school and level students, 14 and a half years and younger. I just want to talk a few minutes about these school level contests. The High MCM is for high school, mid MCM, as I said, for middle school and middle level. They happen annually in November over a 2-week window. So student teams of up to 4 students use the time that they have, it's very flexible, to address one of 2 problems in the High MCM, and then 1 problem is available in the mid MCM. There's no limit to the number of teams from any school or country. In 2021, we had 705 teams in the High MCM and 54 teams in our inaugural year of the mid MCM, and they came from 20 and 4 countries or regions respectively. The IMMC happens in the spring, and the US invites teams that do well on the High MCM to compete in the IMMC. Other countries have different ways for students to compete in this contest. But again, teams of 4 students from the same school. It is limited to 2 teams per country. And last spring, we had 51 teams from 27 countries and regions compete. And now I'm going to turn it over to Amanda Beecher to talk about the undergraduate level contests. Amanda.
Thank you, Kathi. I'm really excited that we were invited to the Simiode Expo this year. If you want to go to the next slide. The MCM and ICM contests are undergraduate level contests, and they happen this week. They start actually on Thursday night, and they run through the weekend to Wednesday, or sorry, they start Thursday night and they go through Monday night this weekend. So this is teams of up to 3 undergraduates, so it's a little different than the high school competition. They have 100 hours over that time to solve one of 6 real-world problems. At the end state of the contest, they're going to write up their solutions in 25 pages, and no more than 25 pages, I should say. Just to note, last year we had 26,000 teams participate in over 20 countries or regions. So it is quite a large contest, much bigger than those high school contests. Teams get to see all 6 problems and pick which one that they would like to work on. They don't have to pre-select in any kind of way. And this is a remote contest. They've always worked in their own location. Their faculty advisor finds space or whatever they need to be able to work, but everything is administered online, so they don't have to go someplace to participate. And some of the big things that people ask about, and I like to sort of mention, is that only inanimate resources can be used throughout the contest. And although some of the contests you just heard have limited number of teams, the MCM and ICM do not. So as many teams as would like from any particular institution or country. So let me just give you an overview about what those 6 problems are. So the first 3, A, B, and C, are called the MCM. Kathi had noted that they started much earlier, and that's a continuous math problem, discrete math problem, or data insights problem. The ICM is the interdisciplinary contest, and either the science or the modeling or the problem come from one of the areas, network science or operations research. E has been renamed sustainability. I guess this is an old slide, I'm sorry. And F is policy. And so just to give you an idea of some of the types of problems we've asked in the past, we could ask things like, how does climate change affect fish migration, and consequently, how do fishermen have to change their ways of fishing to support that, or to continue to preserve their livelihood? So that's an example of an A problem. B, a couple of years ago, we had them build sandcastles, not literally, but figuratively build sandcastles. We asked what shape or type of structure would actually survive the longest in different weather and wave conditions. One of my favorite problems is the C problem. It's Amazon data with, the happiness score of the satisfaction score of 1 to 5, as well as some text data. And I use those in my classes a lot to have students really explore. And the idea was that they had to launch a new product and use that information. The ICM contest, just to give you some ideas of past problems, we asked them, how do you get through airport security very quickly? That used to be we had one year where backup lines made people miss their flights. And so how do you ensure security while still maintaining the ability for people to get through in a reasonable amount of time? We had a soccer data a few years ago where we asked them to look at the passing network. And by doing so, really suggest different strategies that would be effective for a particular team. We have students analyze plastic waste and how to really deal with this growing environmental issue, as well as some of the equity issues that come with the people that are making the waste versus people that are distributing the waste, and how to sort of holistically deal with that problem. And one of my favorite problems is who should we send to colonize Mars? It's really a policy thing where we're setting up a new society. So it's a really fun problem to think about who we should send to have an effective, I guess, colony. I don't know what the right word is, but an effective new society. So that gives you a very quick overview of the types of questions we ask students. So students can pick from any one of those 6. And then at the end of the contest, they get a designation. So they're not scored and rated in some way. They're classified into these categories. And so the best of the best teams are outstanding. We have finalists, all the people that reach that last round of judging, where we have a panel of experts really look very closely at papers. And so it's very high honor to receive that. Meritorious is a very small, less than 10% of the population get a meritorious. Means it's really outstanding and somebody found something really special in it. Honorable mention is wonderful. It's above average. We find that most teams really are successful participant, and there's a range of things that lead to that. So that's how it's scored. And the big thing that I like to talk about is what are the benefits. I always start with the last item, the resume booster and interview skills, because my students come back, my own students, and report participating in this contest developed all of these other benefits. They're able to go into an interview and talk about being able to solve a problem in a time-dependent deadline environment with a team of other people. And that's huge for them. I have students that say, I got my internship because I participated and I could point to these skills. And so it's a really great opportunity. And all of those problems are problems that they could talk to anyone about. They're not math-specific problems. And so I find that it really helps them to engage a broader community to talk about a problem that they can understand as well. In addition to benefits to the students, there's benefits to the advisors. Oop, wrong way. To the advisors, where they really get a great chance to mentor students, to have those one-on-one relationships that really give us the opportunity to share some great learning experiences with our students and to hear great things from them about their experience. At the end of the 4 days, they're tired, but they realize that they did something pretty amazing. And one of my favorite quotes from a student was, I learned that in these 4 days, I could solve really hard problems. So I want to take on as many research projects my senior year as I can, because I can. And so just that confidence builder was, for me, so rewarding. And next, oh, there is one more. I was thinking I was almost done, but I can't not mention all of the awards and prizes and all of our sponsoring organizations that really help to make this really wonderful for students. There's a lot of named awards, and the chance for up to a $10,000 scholarship is really exciting for students, and hearing from them about their experiences in the contest after they win these awards is really quite nice. And so lots of opportunity to really showcase some exceptional work. And I think now I'm going to turn it over to Michelle Isenhour to talk about the new certificate modeling program.
That's great. Thank you, Amanda. I'm excited to be here today to tell you about COMAP's newest initiative, the Certificate Modeling Program, CIM for short. My name is Michelle Isenhour. I have a PhD in computational science and informatics, and I'm currently serving as the project manager for COMAP's CIM program. But before I tell you about the program, let me first tell you why we think this program is necessary. More than 3 years ago, COMAP recognized a need and an opportunity to improve professional development in 2 key areas. First, across the globe, educational institutions, and namely high school and undergraduate institutions, they need knowledgeable educators who understand the modeling mindset and modeling processes and can integrate modeling into their classrooms and develop and teach courses in modeling. And then secondly, professional organizations and corporations in every industry across the world need experienced analysts who can apply a modeling mindset and sound modeling processes to model, simulate, and solve tough problems facing industry. So based on COMAP's mission to improve mathematics education and its history of providing professional development curricula and materials, the Certificate in Modeling program was conceived. So in response to that need, a small group of 4 began phase 1, the concept design and development phase 2 years ago in 2019, where we worked to outline the scope and sequence of 2 certificate programs for modeling professionals. As part of the program, we proposed 2 distinct certificate in modeling tracks. Kathy, could you back up a slide, please? One track focuses on the educators, the Modeling Educator Certificate, or the MEC, while the other focuses on the industry professionals, the Modeling Analyst Certificate, or MAC. As you can see on this slide, the program in its entirety will consist of a common Introduction to Modeling course, followed up by 2 follow-on track-specific courses. So last year, we obtained approval to move to phase 2, which is the program and curriculum development phase. And so although our curriculum is currently not fully fleshed out, I'm going to share with you the overall vision for each of the 3 courses. I'll begin with course 1. Course 1 is common to both tracks and introduces or reintroduces in some cases participants to the fundamentals of modeling. It will include an overview designed to showcase the breadth of problems that can be solved through mathematical modeling, as well as expose participants through various concepts and processes. This course will lay the foundation for the certificate-specific courses that follow. And at the conclusion of the course, educators at what we believe will be the high school and undergraduate levels will move on to course 2E, Modeling for Educators. And the analysts who we envision may be recent graduates in fields such as operations research or systems engineering, or maybe early career professionals such as junior analysts who are looking to bolster their resumes. These people will move on to course 2A, Modeling for Industry. I'll now discuss course 2E. So once the participants, course 2E, there we go. So once the participants in the Modeling Educator Certificate track get their certificate of completion for course 1, they're eligible to enroll in course 2E, Modeling for Education. This is the respective certificate granting course. So the curriculum development for course 2E is just beginning. The audience will include high school teachers and undergraduate faculty members. And we're not talking just math instructors, but we're talking about any discipline that uses modeling or could benefit from modeling. And so as the educators broaden their perspective of modeling in this course, they will discuss the value of modeling as part of the students' quantitative development. They'll learn how to facilitate students' engagement in modeling. They'll develop strategies to integrate modeling into their classrooms. And lastly, they'll learn how to communicate to decision makers the benefits of modeling and having modeling as part of the curriculum. Moving now on to course 2A, just as we saw with the educators, once the analysts receive their certificate of completion for course 1, they may enroll in course 2A, Modeling for Industry. This is the certificate granting course for the analysts. During course 2A, we envision that the analysts from various industries, companies, and corporations will enroll. They will learn the values and limitations of modeling, how to apply the modeling mindset to solve industry-related problems, how to assemble and work together as part of a problem-solving team, and finally, how to communicate to decision makers the benefits and, more importantly, the results of their modeling efforts. Next slide. And I know this was just a very quick overview of the certificate in modeling program. I'll be happy to answer any questions later. And if you are interested in getting involved or staying abreast of COMAP's progress and our development towards the creation of the certificate in modeling program, you may feel free to join our interest roster at the link shown here, or you may use the QR code and that will take you directly to the form to fill out. Thank you for your time today. I'll now be followed by Kathi.
Thank you, Michelle. That was great. And I apologize, my mouse wasn't working, then my remote keyboard wasn't working, but I think we're back on track here. Nope. Okay, try this. There we go. That's me. I'm going to talk about resources at the COMAP website and at COMAP itself. The little graphic at the bottom of the page is some of what you'll see when you go to the COMAP website to look at featured products and site updates, the mathematical contest and modeling that Amanda spoke about, along with the ICM, and then the high school level contest, and then free materials. Free is always good. So here's an overview of the materials that you can find at COMAP. Free materials like the game report, a biomath modules that I'll speak about in a minute, a PS Futures, which is a financial module, mathmodels.org, which is a website that has all kinds of materials, other publications, and contest problems from the next year. So free materials, and I think Michelle just put in the chat the link for the sim. Free materials, the game report. You may have heard from the game report. It was published by an effort between SIAM and COMAP. It's now available in English and Spanish. It's available free from the website for download. There is a course in financial mathematics, another PS Futures course. The Consortium magazine is a magazine that comes out twice a year. It's really geared towards school level mathematics. One of the issues overviews the high school contest in modeling. The other issue overviews the International Mathematical Modeling Challenge. But along with those contest overviews, this magazine has a wonderful pullout section. I know that teachers at any level really are looking for materials that they can pick up and grab and use. And there are a lot of those on the COMAP website. The Consortium magazine's pullout section has been so popular with teachers doing that, that we are establishing a new web page that will have updates on those pullouts ready for teachers' use. The other project, Biomath, is a really interesting project that has 20 modules on all kinds of different biology topics. They are standalone, or you can put them together and make up your own course. There's a student materials document and a teacher guide for every single module. So it's very friendly, very easy to use, and it's free. So what have you got to lose? The mathmodels.org site has some public information on it. For example, you can go there and find all of the contest problem statements since the contest started. You can access all COMAP webinars. So there's information webinars on all of the contests. And then there's a series of modeling webinars that were done last year. If you decide to join mathmodels.org, which is an option, you'll have access to student contest papers, actually the original papers, as well as additional judges' commentaries and contest articles and other resources that are there in the membership section. But it's a great resource. A few publication examples at COMAP. The Math Modeling Handbook, parts 1 and 2, that was produced with Teachers College at Columbia University. There's also school level discrete math modeling our world and many other modeling our world textbook sort of options. And then the UMAP journal, which is the undergraduate journal, it comes out 4 times a year. And 2 of the issues focus on the contest, one on MCM and one on ICM. But again, even the issues that focus on the contests have other nice articles in them. So I encourage you to look at those. For keeping up with us, we have a Twitter handle at COMAP Math. So follow us, especially if you're students or you are involved in the contests. All of the updates go out on Twitter, and you can go to the website. You can always reach us and any of the panelists here today at info@comap.com, and we'll get you connected with them. So finally, I think you can speak versus putting your questions into the chat, but that's okay too, if you have any questions, and we can have a discussion. So I see in the chat a few other links that Amanda put in for mathmodels.org. Thank you. And for the contest. And if you joined us late, the contest is starting this week on February 17th. So be sure to register your teams. So we have a couple of people. Does anyone have any questions about COMAP or the contest or our wonderful new initiative, the Certificate in Modeling program? Michelle, could you give us an idea of when the Certificate in Modeling might start in the pilot program, and when it would be ready for, for more public consumption?
Yes, Kathy, I can. We are currently still working on creating the curriculum. We anticipate piloting course 1, and we're looking for volunteers to be part of that first pilot, but piloting course 1 the fall of this year. We'll pilot course 2E probably next spring, and then 2A next summer. So over the course of the next year and a half, we'll pilot each of the courses, and then anticipate rolling them out. As far as how much will they cost, and even the delivery platforms and things like that, we're still too early in the game to be able to answer that question at this time.
And one more question about the SIM program. Are you still looking for people to be involved in SIM as writers? I know you put up the QR code, and can people still be involved as future writers for some of these courses?
Yes, we're still looking for volunteers, and we haven't started the process of bringing on volunteers to write course 2E yet, or do the writing for course 2A. Still looking for a director for course 2A, which is our modeling for industry course. We're also looking for a variety of people to help write case studies and provide some modeling content as well. And so we have a research team as well that you could sign up and join as well. So if you're interested, fill out the interest roster. I'll reach out to you and we can have more discussions.
Great.
Thank you, Kathy, for the question.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle.
There was also a question about how to get be part of the pilot program. Sorry.
Yeah.
How to be part of the pilot program.
Yeah. Fill out the interest roster. There is a place, a kind of a free text kind of thing where you can add maybe your interests and things like that. And if you're interested in being part of the pilot or helping to edit or test the materials, you can kind of indicate that there, and I'll add you to our list of volunteers to participate. Thank you.
Great. And there's another question, and I was actually going to ask Amanda this. You know, we've been running the contest for quite a long time, and we've seen changes in the submissions. They just continue to get better and better and better. It's just amazing the work that these students from middle school to college do. So Amanda, you know, what does it take to have a good submission? What are you looking for when students turn in their solution papers?
Yeah, I think there's sort of two parts of that. One is that they answer the questions that are asked. They really need to address the problem that's there. But more than that is they have to give rationale for all of the things they do. We ask them to list assumptions and to revisit them with a sensitivity analysis as part of just the sort of the modeling process. But we also want to know, why did you choose that model, and what are the real the reasons why you're doing the things you are. Maybe you scoped out a certain part of the problem because you felt like you could attack that most. Well, you know, those kinds of that information to the readers helps us to contextualize what each team does to really answer the questions. And so the more the students can communicate what they're doing and why, I find that the better they do.
And another question is how to prepare. The question asks for high MCM and mid MCM, but I will tell you how to prepare for all of the contests. Listen to what Amanda just said, for one, but there are a lot of resources when you go to the COMAP website for both the school level and the undergraduate level contests. Look at the instructions, and under each of the instruction pages is a tips article, TIPS. It actually offers tips and it tells you what to do before the contest, during the contest, you know, how to submit your solution paper. And it's a wonderful, wonderful resource to prepare for the contest, especially if you've never done it before, in addition to looking at past UMAP journal and consortium articles. Amanda, anything to add on that?
Yeah, I find that students feel a lot better when they read some of the past problems or take an hour to think about how they might, you know, start into it, not actually going through the process of solving it, but they just feel more confident when they've kind of thought about those problems for a while. So I encourage students to do that, to take an hour with your team and say, okay, let's pick one and let's see how we would address it. Just so that they've been through that process. Because once they're into a problem, students go wild. It's that initial getting into it. What would I do? How to brainstorm, and especially with a group of people. And so I find that just 1 hour or a couple hours, if they need to do it a couple times, to be really valuable for them feeling confident going into the contest, which just snowballs into really great work.
Another question that we get asked a lot about the contests is that what kind of software do I need, or what kind of programming skills do I need to have, or what are the expectations I need to know, all of these sort of mathematical concepts, skills, procedures. And so basically, no, there are none that you need. Basically, if you're using the mathematics that you know and understand and the tools that you have available, you'll be fine. Amanda? Do you want to say anything?
Yes, definitely use what you know. You don't want to spend 4 days of a contest trying to learn a new program or to discover something new or to teach yourself, some high level PDE when all you've learned is ODEs. Since this is semiode, I went with differential equation topics, but it is a chance for students to learn more or to adapt models. But most of the time, the ones that do the best are the ones that have a reason for why they chose the model, and they use something that they know. We've had outstanding papers that used like proportions, but they justified every single step of what they did. And it was very clear that they understood the science underneath it and why that was a good approach for that particular part of the problem. And so use what you know, don't try to learn something new during the contest. And that includes technology as well. If you're comfortable with Excel, use Excel. If you want to do completely theoretical work and not use any technology, that's fine too. So as long as you can address the problem, use what you know.
And in that same light, in like using what you know and then learning from there, I think the SIM program for their certificate in modeling, it is this professional development program that is going to reach teachers or analysts where they are and then improve their abilities, Michelle, through the coursework in the SIM program. So there is no, besides having an interest and obviously some quantitative ability, I guess, or in modeling, there's really no prerequisite for the first SIM course.
Yeah, Kathy, thank you for that as well. No, we're not going to completely teach modeling as you might get at an undergraduate level. We will kind of level set everyone to modeling, and we'll start by beginning by presenting different types of modeling processes, just to show that all of the various ways that people might approach modeling, as a way of kind of allowing people to figure out which method of modeling or which processes they might identify with based on whether they are going to teach in the classroom or if they're going to apply it to their industry or their profession. And that way people can kind of then create a toolkit that they can then build throughout the course one to set the foundation, and then carry that into course 2A or 2E with them.
Thanks, Michelle. I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to just ask Amanda and Michelle if they had anything else they wanted to share before I close the session, or if anybody has any questions, either raise your hand or put it in the chat. Anyone? If
I have something to say.
okay.
There's a lot of people that are here at the expo that participated in Scudum in the fall, and I think that's a great opportunity for students to get a good local, smaller flavor of these types of modeling contests. And we've had some students that use differential equation models in the MCM and ICM and do quite successful. So if you're already trying maybe that contest out, that could be a great opportunity to offer this opportunity to your students sort of on a, although it is international, some of the representation is really wonderful, but on a broader scale as well.
Thanks, Amanda. And we did have one other question about topics to cover in a modeling course. Oh, that is a good one. Well, I'll let Amanda go first because she's teaching modeling course.
Yeah, I have taught it at, so I'm a college faculty. I have taught the gen ed version, which is also dual enrolled with some high school students. So I've taught high school students this course, non-STEM math majors. I have the math modeling of math majors. I've taught the master's level in applied math modeling course. So I have various topics. And what I find most interesting is the models themselves. Most of the textbooks actually feature the models. Is not helpful for students. Models change all the time and they need to be adaptive. I focus on the modeling process, and some good starting places are the game report that is free and available on the COMAP website, as well as some other materials that really focus on how to think through problems. And so I use a lot of the contest problems as an opportunity for students to explore it, and then we use their results to start to build and expand what they're already doing. So we can see where their successes are and how they could take that and redo it again, right? As the modeling process to constantly redo, and where their weaknesses are and how do we firm them up, and how do we think about ways that they approach problems to expand it to be more inclusive, you know, and really going back and really analyzing the different pieces. And so I don't have good topics. I feel like what I'm trying to teach my students is the way to think through a process. And if I focus on that and the goal of making them better modelers and better thinkers, then I think I'm successful in the course.
Thanks, Amanda. And I don't know, Michelle, if you have anything, but I think the SIM program will be doing that for educators and analysts. The SIM program is not about teaching mathematics. It's not a mathematics course. It's actually a modeling process program. Okay, anything else? Oh, we have, I went through the Midge problem with my students and they weren't as interested as I hoped. Sorry. And any thoughts? I have been reading through the game report. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I did the lunchbox problem with some of my elementary educators and they weren't as excited as I thought they might be too. It is sort of a trial and error. And sometimes it's, you know, when you build on what they've already done or they see each other's work. I was shocked by how excited they were when they saw what other students did, and shared out what some of the things and happens that I you know, when they use different models or they do different things and talk about how they're still addressing the same problem, they got much more excited than any of the topics we actually went through. Yeah. Oh, yes, they do want to know what's the answer. Absolutely. So the comment was, my students just want to know the solution. And I get that as well. And I laugh because there isn't one, right? We all can solve problems differently and get to different solutions. And I think that frustrates them a lot. And so thinking about why that's, you know, sort of, you know, that's the coach part of me, right? Like the pep talk, helping them understand that, you know, sometimes it's not about the solution, it's about a solution, and why that a solution is good and when it's good and when it's not good. Because in reality, that's what happens. And I did have a couple speakers from industry come in and they said that, you know, that's the way that they approach problems. They have a deadline and whatever they can do in that time, that's the solution, even if it's not the best solution. So I have found that helpful.
Yeah, and I also think that's one of the reasons why we've ensured that among our objectives for the SIM program is a focus on communicating the results. Because the fact is, you know, your solution is going to differ from the person right next to you's solution, but can you defend your solution? Can you explain how you arrived at your solution and why you believe your solution is a good one? And so communication in that last step in the modeling process is very important in the SIM course, and it'll be taught to the educators on how to work on that with, you know, the high school and the undergraduates, who you'll find have that difficulty in the fact that there is no right answer because they've been trained in high school that there's a right answer. You get to do either right or wrong. And, you get into college and maybe it's not just black and white like that. And so we really focus on that communicate aspect at the end so that you can defend the solution that you do obtain through a modeling process.
I think as I've been around long enough to see the evolution of math modeling, and back in the day when there was some problem at the back of chapter 2, section 3, and you knew exactly what it was going to do, and you just had to use the procedure to answer that problem. And then we thought we were so creative that we put words there, and we had these things called word problems, which really were just tied to chapter 2, section 3. So as we've done applied problem solving and now into modeling, we're totally out of chapter 2, section 3. We're presenting a real world scenario that can be approached with multiple techniques. And may have multiple answers depending on the assumptions that you make and the process that you go through. So, we take these difficult problems and we make them easier, and the way we do that is through assumptions, and depending on the assumptions made, we come up with different solutions. So in developing the contest problems, there's many, many iterations that they go through, because initially I think the author usually has some technique in mind, and we need to get that technique out of the problem and allow it to be addressed with multiple techniques and from multiple avenues. And so I would suggest in practice going to the COMAP website and looking at previous problems. In the chat, someone asked about the dog park problem, which was the problem that we did this year for mid-MCM. Yes, that's a great problem to start with. It has a lot of scaffolding in it. So for beginner modeling students, you sort of get them used to think about the factors, make a list of this, ask these questions. That's how you get into the modeling process. Once they get to high school, we pull a little bit of the scaffolding away. And once they're in the undergraduate contest and in your undergraduate classroom, you remove a lot of scaffolding and make it open-ended. And so, yeah, go if you want to kind of start out, then look at the high MCM contest problems. And if you're looking for something to pick up and use in your classroom, look at the biomath modules. So that's what I would suggest.